The last broadcast. Captain James Morrow slumped in his chair, exhausted. The navigation equipment had failed 3 days ago. The radio followed shortly after. Now, with a damaged hull and dwindling supplies, all he had left was the old handheld recorder, his lifeline to a world that couldn't hear him. Day 7 adrift, his hoarse voice spoke into the device. Position unknown, storm damage extensive, still no contact with mainland. If anyone receives this... He paused, unsure what to say. If anyone receives this, the SS Dorchester requires immediate assistance. James clicked off the recorder and rubbed his eyes. The endless expanse of ocean stretched in every direction, indifferent to his plight. He'd been recording these messages twice daily, playing them back to check the clarity, then switching to the emergency channel to broadcast them into static. Out of habit, he rewound the tape and pressed play. Day 7 adrift, his tired voice emanated from the small speaker. Position unknown, requires immediate assistance. Then, a pause, the tape continued to run. We hear you, Captain. James froze. That wasn't his voice. He rewound the tape, heart hammering against his ribs. He played it again. Dorca requires immediate assistance. We hear you, Captain. The voice was distant, distorted like it was speaking from the bottom of a well. James hadn't recorded that. He couldn't have. His fingers trembled as he pressed record again. This is Captain Morrow. Who responded to my message? Over. He played it back immediately. This is Captain Morrow. Who responded to my message? Over. Silence followed. Then, we've been watching you, Captain, below the surface. Cold fear flooded James's veins. He stared at the recorder in his hands, then at the dark water surrounding his damaged vessel. Who is this? He demanded, recording again. Identify yourself. This time, when he played it back, he heard a sound like rushing water before the reply came. We've been waiting for someone like you, someone alone. The others weren't suitable. James stumbled to the window, scanning the waves. Nothing but endless blue, yet something was out there. Something was listening. He made another recording, desperation edging his voice. What do you want from me? The playback chilled him to his core. We want you to join us, Captain. The sea is lonely. We need new voices. As the final word faded, James noticed something rising from the water, not 50 yards from his vessel. A copper-colored creature with scales. They were not of this world. Too fluid in their movements. James grabbed the flare gun and fired into the sky. The red light illuminated the water for a brief, terrible moment. They were surrounding his boat now. With shaking hands, he made one final recording. This is Captain James Morrow of the SS Dorchester. Do not look for me. Do not search these waters. They're waiting for you. He'll play it back one last time. This is Captain James Morrow of the SS Dorchester. His voice, followed by the unfamiliar chorus that had been growing louder with each playback. Join us, Captain. Add your voice to ours. The last thing the recorder captured was the sound of water rushing into the cabin, and James's scream as cold, impossibly strong hands pulled him toward the depths. The recorder continued to broadcast, long after the boat was empty.